Here's the Tohatsu 8 horsepower 2-stroke. Here's the model number and the information on this engine. And I'm going to show you how to change the impeller in it. What we have to do first is you have to get something like a puncture set. Hold this up, and it's hard to see. Let me get on the other side. Get a better view. Right there. You could take this off if you want, if it's easier. What you do is you get 2 pliers, crimp these together, and it's a pin, and it'll come right out. But I could do it this way, so I don't have to disassemble as many parts. But what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to get something that you could put in between here, like that, and hit it with the hammer at the end very lightly, and a pin will come out and it'll disconnect the shift shaft, which I'm gonna do right now. Let me put the camera down. There it goes. It came right out. The pin fell down somewhere. Make sure, if I was you, I'd put like a rag right here because the pin is very small, so you don't lose it. Don't do it like over grass, because I've done that once and it's very hard to find. That's the pin. And if your pin won't come out, I would put WD-40 on it, or the last resort, if it's really rusted on there and won't come out, the next trick they could try is you got to heat it up with the torch, but you must remove this part right here because it's plastic and it will melt. Make sure you do that. Alright, I'll set my pin aside, and now the shift shaft is disconnected from the lower unit. Well, it's disconnected from the engine, but next step is to disconnect the 4 bolts that are located on each side. There's 1, 2, and 2 more on the other side. Let me get a better view of this. Alright. You have to turn clockwise to unscrew these bolts. And sometimes people, when they use this in salt water, the bolts are very, very hard to take out, and you might use WD-40 and they won't come out. You get a torch and then heat them up for about 4 minutes and they'll come right out. Make sure that it won't come out, you get a torch, because it will snap inside the casing.
Where's the stem board? Where's the stem board?
Inside. Sometimes they might be hard to remove if people don't grease them up before they put them in. Where are you going? Are you coming back? And do the same on this side.
What?
turn the bolt clockwise.
What?
And as you can see, the lower unit is coming off. I'm having trouble taking this bolt out.
Right now? What? Just restart it.
Alright, we have one bolt holding the lower unit. What we want to do now is you want to tilt the motor, because once that bolt comes out, you can't. I have it on the stand and it's going to catch on the bottom on the stand, so I need to tilt mine. I'm gonna move it to the sun so you can see better. Maybe that will help. Alright. It looks better. Alright, I have one 10 well, forgot to tell you, these are 10mm bolts that are holding the lower unit. So you're gonna need a 10mm wrench. I have one bolt left holding the lower unit. Make sure you grab the rag cover the lens. Make sure you hold the lower unit with one hand and the other hand unscrew the bolt, because the lower unit will fall if you don't hold it. Alright, now the lower unit is ready to come off. Pull it out like that. There you have it. Now I'm going to bring the camera to my steps and I'm going to disassemble the water pump housing. Alright, actually, do it on the carpet. That's your lower unit. This is your water pump housing. There's 4 10mm bolts holding it. Make sure you unloosen those up. have one more bolt holding the housing. And all the bolts are out. Slide the housing right out. It seems like the pump's connected to the stuck in the housing. And when you remove the housing, there's something called it's a key that holds the pump, well, the water pump to the shaft. Make sure you do not lose this. This is very important. If you lose this and put the pump back on, it's not going to spin with the shaft and it won't pump water, and you're going to be thinking why it's not pumping water. But this goes right there like that, and it slides in the slot of the water pump right there. Very small. Take the water pump out of the housing. Might want to have some pliers because it's kind of hard to take this one out. Alright, as you can see, the water pump is in really good shape. The engine I purchased, the guy replaced the water pump. I just wanted to make sure that it's in really good shape before I sell it. As you can see, when you inspect the water pump, you want to fold over the fin and see if there's any cracks. Let me put it in the sun. As you can see, you could tell it's brand new. And the fins are straight. And on a worn water pump, the fins are going to be bent to the shape of the housing. Housing looks in good shape. And before you assemble something like this, when you get a new water pump, you want to get grease. Let me get some grease, I'll be right back. I have grease, some marine grease. It could be anything, oil, grease, anything to lubricate the impeller. And this will help putting the impeller back in the housing. What you want to do is get the impeller. You want to put the impeller first on the lower unit with the shaft. So what we have to do next is align this with the bolt. Alright. What we want to do is, an easier way to do this is lay the lower unit like that and put this slot up. We can worry about that later. Slide your impeller in. Not all the way. Make sure the slot. Let me find the slot. Alright, there it is. Get the little key thingy. Right here. This is kind of hard to do. And with your eye, try to align the slot and the impeller with the key that we put in. As you can see, it goes right in. Alright. Make sure the key is on or it's not going to work. when you assemble this back together, make sure you put grease, oil, anything to lubricate the bolts back in so they don't seize. So we have a grease in the housing. Slide it over the shaft. And it's very important when you assemble this back together, put grease right here, because sometimes if you don't people don't grease that up, the splines, and it will freeze in the engine block. Make sure when you put, what you want to do is you want to hold this down with one hand and turn this clockwise like this, the shaft, while pushing lightly on the housing, which I'll try to show you. Put your hand on the housing, turn the shaft clockwise while pressing lightly down on the housing. As you can see, it went all the way down. Make sure you turn it clockwise, not counterclockwise. Then put your bolts back in. Make sure you put, like I said, any lubricant, WD-40 in the bolt hole, in the holes of the bolts before you assemble it. All you gotta do is tighten all these bolts up. Once you've done that, you bring the lower unit to the engine. And this is a little tricky, but with the housing, make sure it goes in the tube. See, this is really important. This grommet right here that was on the tube, in here. You can see what this is. It goes on the housing, on the water pump housing. I have to put that back in there. All right. Now I'm going to tighten the bolts. I'll tighten it later, but I'll show you what you have to do now. What you want to do is, this is a little tricky, but alright, here we go. That hole right here, I'm touching with the shaft. That's where your shift shaft goes, which is this. Make sure this goes through the hole. And as you can see, you want to make sure the tube aligns with, that's your intake tube. Put your eyes, which you can't really get the camera. Make sure it aligns. It's always tricky trying to get it on. What I'm looking for is that shift shaft to come out. Having some trouble here. Let me put the camera down. When you're having trouble like this, it's usually the shaft, it's not correctly aligned with the splines in the engine, and the trick is pull the pull starter a little bit. It's better to have two friends to do it. pulling the pull starter. As you can see, went right in. You need 2 hands to do this, so. And all you do now is you get the 4 bolts, put it back in, you reverse it, and then get the pin, slide it in there, which we did previously, how we removed it. Get the pin, connect the shift shaft to the main shaft in the engine, tighten all the bolts up, and you're ready to go. And that's how you change an impeller in the 8-horse Tohatsu. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you need other engines, how to replace the water pump, because I always get tons of engines. And as you can see, if you have any questions about them, I have a lot of them. Let me know. I've been through a lot of engines. Thanks for watching.